Yo, what's good, Combat Cult fam? The White House UFC card on June 14th is absolutely loaded from top to bottom. And one fight on this card is criminally underrated compared to everything else getting attention. Sean O'Malley versus Aiemann Zahabi. Suga, the former bantamweight champion who just lost his belt to Merab Dvalishvili twice, yes, twice, is now trying to rebuild on the biggest stage the sport has ever seen. And standing across from him is a man who has been quietly putting together one of the most impressive late-career runs in the entire division. You're with Combat Cult MMA. Never back down. Let's get into it. The stage, UFC Freedom 250 at the White House. Let's just take a second to appreciate what is about to happen on June 14th. UFC Freedom 250, the White House lawn, Donald Trump cage side watching the most talented fighters on the planet throw down. The entire world is going to be tuned in, not just MMA fans, not just sports fans, everybody. Your neighbor who has never watched a single UFC event is watching this one. That level of attention either elevates fighters to legendary status or breaks them completely. Both O'Malley and Zahabi are walking in with massive chips on their shoulders and something serious to prove. This fight matters a lot more than the casual fan realizes. Sean O'Malley, from champion to redemption mode. Let's be completely honest about where Suga stands right now, because the story has changed dramatically over the past 2 years. Sean O'Malley is one of the most naturally gifted offensive strikers the bantamweight division has ever produced. His combination of length at 5 feet 11 inches, creative angles, elite timing, and pure finishing power at 135 pounds is unlike anything this weight class has seen before. The highlight reel speaks for itself. He knocked out Peter Yan in a split decision that shocked the world. He TKO'd Aljamain Sterling in round 2 to become champion. He dominated Marlon Vera in the rematch over 5 rounds. He finished fighters with jabs, left hooks, body shots, spinning kicks. The man has 15 different ways to end your night, and you never know which one is coming. But then came Merab Dvalishvili, twice. And that is the reality O'Malley has to live with right now. The first loss at UFC 306 in September 2024 was a unanimous decision. A 5-round nightmare where Merab's relentless wrestling and suffocating pace completely neutralized everything Suga tried to do on the feet. O'Malley couldn't find his rhythm, couldn't establish his range, and got outworked in every phase of the fight. He went back to the drawing board, came back to fight the rematch at UFC 316 in June 2025, and this time it was even worse. Merab submitted him with a north-south choke in round 3. Tapped out. The image of Suga tapping was the most shocking moment of 2025 in the bantamweight division. To his credit, O'Malley bounced back immediately. In January 2026, just 7 months after that second Merab loss, he came back and beat Yadong Song by unanimous decision at UFC 324 to show the world he wasn't done. That win was important. It proved he could still compete at the highest level and get his hand raised. But Song is not a top 5 bantamweight. The questions about O'Malley's chin, his takedown defense, his ability to handle pressure over 5 rounds, those questions did not go away with that win. They are all still very much on the table heading into June 14th. What O'Malley absolutely still brings to the table is elite-level offensive danger. His left hand remains one of the most dangerous weapons in the division. His counter right-hand timing is as sharp as ever. His footwork and distance management, when he's functioning at his best, can make any fighter look completely lost on the feet. 63% of his professional wins have come by knockout or TKO. When Suga finds his range and starts timing his shots, the fight can be over before you even process what happened. That threat is completely real, and Zahabi's corner is fully aware of it. Aiemann Zahabi, the most dangerous underrated fighter on this card, here is where this story gets genuinely fascinating. Aiemann Zahabi, the 38-year-old Canadian, brother of legendary MMA coach Faris Zahabi, has been quietly building one of the most impressive late-career runs you will find anywhere in the sport right now. And almost nobody outside of serious fight fans is talking about it with the respect it deserves. The man is 15-2. Let that sit for a moment. 15 wins and only 2 losses across his entire professional career. And the quality of his recent victories is extraordinary. In May 2025, he beat Jose Aldo, a UFC Hall of Famer, a former featherweight champion, one of the most decorated fighters in the history of this sport, by unanimous decision over 3 rounds. That win alone should have turned heads across the entire MMA community. Then just 5 months later, in October 2025, he came back and beat Marlon Vera, the same Marlon Vera that O'Malley himself needed 5 full rounds to handle, by split decision. Think about that for a second. The man that O'Malley struggled with over 5 rounds, Zahabi handled in 3. Zahabi is not a one-dimensional fighter. He has 5 knockout wins, 4 submission victories, and 6 decision wins on his record. He can beat you in multiple ways. His record shows only 1 knockout loss in his entire career, a spinning back elbow from Ricardo Ramos way back at UFC 217 in 2017. Since then, he has put together an unbeaten run that has culminated in wins over 2 genuinely elite names. His cardio is excellent, his experience is vast, and coming into this fight, he is the one riding genuine momentum. The stylistic challenge Zahabi presents for O'Malley is real. He is disciplined, he is patient. He does not give you free looks at his chin, and he brings a physical toughness that forces opponents to work for every single second of every single round. He is not going to wilt under O'Malley's pressure or get rattled by one early shot the way some opponents do. Zahabi has been in deep water before and come out the other side. His jiu-jitsu background means the fight going to the ground is a legitimate concern for O'Malley, and given what we saw against Merab, Suga's ability to stay off the mat for 15 minutes against a motivated opponent has to be questioned. The key matchup: Suga's power versus Zahabi's experience. This fight comes down to one central question. Can O'Malley establish his striking game on the feet early enough to keep Zahabi from making this a grinding, physical, dirty fight in the later rounds? Or does Zahabi's discipline and veteran savvy allow him to survive the dangerous early exchanges and take over as the fight progresses? O'Malley's path to victory is clear. He needs to land his left hand or his right counter early, establish the range, and keep Zahabi at distance where his length and timing are decisive advantages. He is taller, longer, and more dangerous in clean exchanges on the outside. If this fight looks like an O'Malley striking showcase from the first round, Zahabi is in serious trouble, and this fight probably does not go the distance. But Zahabi's path to victory is equally clear and arguably more realistic over 15 minutes. He needs to close distance, make the fight physical and uncomfortable, take away O'Malley's beautiful technique by making it a street fight inside, and potentially drag things to the mat where he has genuine submission danger. We already know from 2 fights against Merab that O'Malley struggles when opponents impose physical pressure and deny him space to operate. Zahabi is not Merab. He does not have that kind of wrestling and pace, but he is tough, experienced, and smart enough to take away what O'Malley wants. The grappling dimension cannot be overlooked either. Zahabi has 4 career submission wins, and he absolutely knows what he is doing on the ground. O'Malley has shown he can be submitted. Merab tapped him out with a north-south choke. If Zahabi can get the fight to the mat even once and establish top position, O'Malley's night could get very difficult very quickly. The prediction here is the honest breakdown of how this fight plays out. In the early rounds, O'Malley's striking speed and creativity give him a real advantage. He should be able to establish his jab, find his timing, and land some clean shots that remind everyone why he was bantamweight champion. Zahabi will be cautious and disciplined, eating some punishment while looking for his moments to close distance and make the fight ugly. The big question is what happens in rounds 2 and 3. If O'Malley can keep the fight standing and stay disciplined with his output, his finishing ability makes him dangerous all the way to the final horn. But if Zahabi manages to close the distance consistently, rough O'Malley up in the clinch, and potentially get a takedown or 2 in the later rounds, this becomes a very competitive fight that could go either way on the scorecards. Prediction: Sean O'Malley by TKO in round 2 or 3 if he finds his rhythm early and lands his power shots cleanly. But if this fight goes to the scorecards, give Zahabi a genuine shot at the upset. The momentum is on Zahabi's side, the experience is on Zahabi's side, and after 2 losses to Merab, there are real questions about O'Malley's ability to handle pressure over a full 15 minutes. This is one of the most intriguing and unpredictable fights on the entire White House card. Do not sleep on it. Smash that like button. Drop a comment below telling us who you've got, Suga or Zahabi. Tell your friends, and remember, the cult has to keep growing. This has been Combat Cult MMA. Until next time.